Hello and welcome to the Stover Farm channel. I'm so glad to have you here with me, and I have a confession to make. Well, I've got a problem. I tend to overdo it when it comes to farms. There are times where I spend millions upon millions of dollars. I have hundreds upon hundreds of acres. And then I get so caught up in having to keep track of all the productions and animals and farms and fields that I end up giving up. I have a challenge for you. Micro farming. There's some strategy to be involved in this because if you take an area of land and you build a very, very, very small farm, in this case, let's take a look at where we're at. This is my little hobby farm area at the top of the hill on my mansion build. This is in Convoy, Ohio. Do not worry that we're still going to build a massive farm over here. There's hundreds of acres. We've currently been going through the build together. We've got the house done. We've got the barn done. We've got the pool done. We've even got up here on the hill the little hobby area. Again, Meg loves this. This is her area. But it's also for me, too, because, well, you can put one small field in here. You can have a couple of animals. You can have some chickens. And you can have all of the equipment that you need for a big farm, but in small form factor. And that means you can run the farm just like a big farm, but you can learn. You can practice things. In fact, this is probably one of the better ways to go about farm sim if you're new. Do not overdo it. And if you are extremely well versed in farm sim, just give this a try. You'll be really surprised because I don't feel let down by the fact that I've got a small area here because I have all the equipment that I traditionally would on a big farm. It's just smaller. I got the brand new 445 John Deere. I absolutely love this model of Deere. I've actually liked to own one myself. Maybe in 455 mode, though. I'd kind of like the diesel, little 3-cylinder Yanmar. I've got a seeder. I've got a lime fertilizer spreader. I found this over on Russian Facebook Marketplace. It's really the only super small combine. There's no way, at least I am aware in Farm Sim, to plant a very small field like we're going to do out here and then like harvest it by hand or harvest it with very, very small equipment. You've still got to have a combine harvester, and this is about the only one that's small enough to fit on this farm. It's available in the in-game mod hub for all platforms. What else do we have? Got the little 5403 John Deere, perfect tractor. Water tanker. Do not need a big horse trailer. Nice and small. What do we got over here? That's the deck over there for the 445. So cool now, the types of mods that we're getting. We'll run down the hill here, and you're going to see I've got a greenhouse. We are growing, what is this, lettuce? Very, very simple. Add water, you create lettuce. Up here, we've got 2 horses. Not 20, not 50, not 100, just 2. Okay? We do not even have chickens yet. I've just got the, the hen house or the chicken house there. I've got a very, very small silo over here. I don't even know what this holds. It's not much. A little auger. I've got a cart. I've got a roller. This is a hobby farm. Down here, we've got, a little 330 John Deere. I love these, call me obsessed, these little compact tractors, especially the older Deeres. I think they're really, really cool. That one's got a bucket on the front of it. We've got a sprayer. I'd love to actually have a smaller sprayer, but I didn't want to actually have 2 John Deere Gators. I just felt like that was weird. And in here, I've got some little Cortiva fertilizer. And then the beautiful 786 International with some forks on the front, very old. What do we have in here? Oh, my seed. Yes, that's all the seed we're going to need. In fact, that's way too much seed. And in here I do have some oats for the horses. We're not going to actually plant oats. We're going to plant wheat. And we're going to plant wheat because chickens eat wheat and horses need straw. So on this recently released 445, I have a rototiller on the back. I don't believe this rototiller is not intended for the 445. This is part of another compact tractor. I think it's the 330 or the 332 John Deere that I showed you down there. It requires 25 horsepower. The 445, which is all platform, by the way, has 24 horsepower. It's got a V-twin Kawasaki in it. Yeah, I research these things all the time. I really, really do want one. I think they're absolutely awesome. I hope this one has the steel cam gears in it. Did you know that? So on the early 445s, and in fact in a lot of small engines, there's plastic parts inside them, and Kawasaki had a plastic cam gear in the earlier versions of the V-twin for this, and they would disintegrate over time and break. And then later on in the build cycle, they added a steel cam gear and made them all better. That's just some random facts in my mind. Okay, here we go. So again, this is for both the beginner and the advanced farm simmer, because you're going to have fun regardless. It's going to be a really good experience if you're brand new to farm sim because you're not having to work so much land. And there you have it, a beautifully tilled, I would guess this is probably maybe half an acre. And because we used a rototiller, it's actually in really, really nice shape. You could have used we could have used a plow, and that would have made it really, really rough in a plowed state. And if it was in a plowed state, we could have grabbed our 5403. And I've got this little John Deere Disker out here that would work. Let's run it over it and see if it actually does anything. I don't think it's going to change the ground at all. Oh, you know, it actually is a little bit. We're going to take a look at that. We're probably going from, that's a seed bed, I believe. So we were in a tilled state to a seed bed. Excellent. So yeah, what the heck, let's run over it. And the beauty of that is speed. So again, we're learning how to take care of fields. We're learning how to create fields. We're not doing it on a scale that is so massive that we can't, you know, dedicate the time to do it, or we just get bored by it. The Gator is a perfect tool for this. And there is our lime. How are we going to get that lime? Well, let me just park right here. Let me grab the old International. Let me get this 332 out of the way. Love this old thing. Take this guy up here. Well, let's put him next to the 445, and you can actually see the difference between the two. So the 332 is the older version, probably mid-80s, and the 445 is kind of what, or the 4X5 series is what they turned into. So there they are side by side. The 445, I think it's got more plastic on it. The 332, like, they were all steel, metal hoods. 332 is a diesel, would have had a 3-cylinder Yanmar in it. This, being the 445, would have been a fuel-injected Kawasaki V-twin. Does not matter, though. They're both fantastic little machines. And then this beast, this is all iron right here. I know I could probably use a bag hook, but I'm just going to see if my skills as a tractor operator will work here. And yeah, these big bags, you can pick them up with the hooks on the tractor. Now, let me see if I'm high enough. Yep. Over there, and we'll get all of our lime in there. It's not going to hold a ton, and it's not going to use the whole bag up. We are full. And I'll just keep this out and maybe hooked up. I don't know if I'll need more lime, so let me put this down. Protect the hydraulics. And jump in the Gator. Now let's spread this lime. I turned off automatic application rate. Drives me crazy when parts of the field don't get stuff on them. Like, you can be driving and with precision farming and you've got the automatic application rate, like, it won't put lime down in some areas, which is great if you're trying to save money or time, but my brain does not like to see little splotches in the field. I'd much rather have the entire field nicely covered with lime. And there you go. That we didn't need much lime at all. All the way over. Does this have lights on it? Oh yeah, it does. Very, very cool. I think there's a couple of versions of this. There's a 330 that's available for all platforms on the in-game mod hub. I don't know if it has implements, and then I know there's this 332 that's available for Mac and PC. It is public, but it's not a Giants mod or an in-game mod hub mod, but you can still look for it. This 445 is all platform, and it is out now. All right, let's try this again. I don't have the skill to do this. So let's go into third person. Okay, back up, and we'll bring our, we'll get the John Deere, the 5403. We'll raise this up, turn that off. Where did I put the old 5403? It's up here. Let's get the planter, the seeder attached to it. Manual attach mod. Go get it. I love it. It adds just that little extra bit of realism to the game. I really, really enjoy it. Just park this over here for the time being. Hopefully it doesn't roll down the hill. Now, a couple of things we could do. You could roll this, I believe, if you wanted to. That would give you... I don't know if that would give you a fertilized state, or we can just go ahead and use the sprayer and put some fertilizer down. I'm not going to put an herbicide down, but you could, as well as you get into the growth states and you start seeing weeds. Or you could go organic and not do any type of chemical. Alright, we need to grab my tote of fertilizer. We'll grab the International again. And all we should do is need to get it close, but we'll go ahead and pretend. We'll lift it up and drive over it. Whoops, we've already damaged it. There we go. We'll get out. We'll get into here, and we can now refill our sprayer. So our sprayer is... Come on. There we go. We're getting fertilizer into our sprayer. 260 gallons worth. Again, going to be way more than we need for this little microfield. But I hope you're getting the sense that, like, with this method of micro farming, you can do everything at once, and you just kind of enjoy. I need to unfold. Okay, this is actually a larger sprayer than I think you would have for a field like this. But what the heck? And again, I'm going to deactivate automatic application rate. Let's see if we're getting... Yeah, we are. So you can see the field is turning a darker color, so we're getting that... I'm stuck in the trees. We're getting that nice fertilizer into the ground. Our nitrogen level should be going up, and it is. You can see that. And 260 gallons is way more than we need for this particular application, but that's okay. Again, flying high up here so you can see how the ground is changing color. Nitrogen is varying. We could do a double application rate, I think. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Maybe we can... I don't know. Again, hey, I've been in Farm Sim for now well over a year, just playing and loving the game, still learning everything as we go, always learning new things. I think that will do it. So now we've got a nice application of lime. We've got seeds in the ground, and we now have fertilizer on top. I think maybe now you could roll. I don't know. Someone comment. Let me know what you would do. But you can see, though, if I were on like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres, like the fields out there that I showed you earlier, you know, gosh, you might get a little tired of just going back and forth. Here, we've literally taken what was nothing. It was grass, and we now have a field. And, you know, through the beauty of Easy Dev, we're not going to run back down to the house and sleep. We're just going to go ahead and hit our Grow Now button. So there's the first state. We're going to go ahead and grab the Russian Facebook special. Found this very, very low price. The Fahar M66. I don't know. I think this is like a European, older 80s or 70s European style harvester. It is the smallest harvester I could find. And again, I'm aware of no other method to come in and harvest wheat on a small farm like this without using a combine harvester. I don't know if there's any like smaller way. I don't know, which is fine. So we need to what are we gonna do? We want straw because we want to pick the straw up. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Let's just turn it on and let's see how this thing does. We are now harvesting our micro farm. Feel like this thing would tip over on this hill, but you know what? Fortunately, we're in Farm Sim, so it'll be okay. The hopper on this has to be absolutely tiny, and I don't want to run over my planter. Again, what did I say? I put things in the absolute worst locations. It put my planter right in the way of where I needed to be harvesting. We're already 38% full, 40% full. I'm actually going to have to dump this tank. I have no clue what the size of this cart is either. I might end up filling it up. I also don't know why it sounds like a carnival every time I change gears. Must be a safety feature on the FAR M66. Now, I'm joking, but I'm sure a machine like this has worked thousands and thousands of hours. There's probably been a ton of these produced, and they have probably created food and nourishment for millions of people throughout the world. So I shouldn't joke too much. Park over here. We now have 62 bushels of corn. So that is, what, 160 bushels an acre, and we got 62 bushels. Do the math on that, and it'll tell you how big this field is. It's a third of an acre. Right? 12, 6, 7, 8. Roughly. Yeah. I never was very good at math. Start overloading that. That should be going into there, but it's not filling up the thing. Oh, I should start the engine. And then turn on the conveyor. And then I think I've got to also unload. There we go. Oh, no, I hate when that happens. I have, for whatever reason, dumped all of my load on the ground. I don't know what I'm doing, folks. I'm apparently not doing very well. So let's do this. Let's back this thing up. And I think we could probably... This is not how this is supposed to work at all. But I think we can probably drive up to here. There we go. That is what was supposed to happen in that silo. Now, I have no clue if this little 445 is going to do this or not, but we're going to give it a shot. I need to rake that straw. It's just a mess. This requires, I think, 30 horsepower. It is like the cheapest rake I could buy. I don't even know if the 445 has the PTO option. Yeah, it's working. Probably not as it should, but we're going to use it because, again, I want to stick with small implements here. So this is a very tiny... Whoa! 445 is rocking and a-rolling. I just want to come in. I want to rake some of this stuff up because I'm going to come in with a very small baler. Let's turn that on, and we're just going to rake this. Seems to have plenty of horsepower for the job. I didn't think that would be the case. Maybe doesn't have a ton of horsepower to go up hills, but it's going to help get this raked over into some rows. And I feel like I left a lot to be desired on that raking job. Not the tractor to use for it. I don't know if there's an even smaller rake that's available. But lastly, the last thing we got to do. Let's get our straw. One of the beauties of small square bales is you can pick them up with your hand. You don't need super strength. Just run around, pick them up. You can throw them on the back of your pickup truck if you wanted, but what do we count here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 small square bales. And now you can repeat this process over and over and over again, practicing and learning how to farm, and then scale this up. Go from a small farm, a micro farm, a hobby farm, into many hundreds of acres. And none of this was about money. The goal of this was to be self-sufficient, to plant our own crops. You could really, really get in depth on this and make your own seed if you wanted to, make your own fertilizer, use manure, and you're doing it on a much smaller scale, which means you might not get bored, tired, or just lose interest in it. So give it a shot, micro farming. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time, right here on the farm with the Stovers.